Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back! Like and subscribe right now, or you'll be arrested tomorrow. Celebrities are just people like the rest of us, but there are some perks to being famous, like spending way less time in jail than normal people. Today, we're gonna check out the most ridiculously short sentences that celebrities have served. Paris Hilton is a bit of a mess. She never had her license revoked for getting 2 DUIs, and then finally was arrested when she continued to drive without a license. Honestly, I don't understand why she was driving in the first place. If I had that much money, I would definitely pay a fancy dude in a top hat to drive me everywhere and drank tea like other rich people. Still though, Paris ended up only serving 23 days total for a pretty serious offense, so I'd say she got off lightly. I haven't seen her in the news lately, so I'm assuming she finally decided to hire a professional driver, and that's a huge relief for the rest of us. Want to do a fun experiment? Go find half a pound of weed and try walking through the airport. I bet you'll be tased, tackled, and cavity searched before you can even blink. You know why? Because you're not Paul McCartney. This dude got caught with enough weed to get an elephant stoned for a week and only went to jail for 9 days. The rules are different if you're one of the most famous musicians of all time, I guess. Once again though, I feel like it would be way easier to just pay someone else to carry your drugs. But what do I know? All of the Beatles' weird songs like Yellow Submarine are starting to make a lot more sense now that I know what they were smoking though. How much time do you think you'd spend in prison for breaking into a bank while drunk? I'm pretty sure that most normal people would be making toilet wine for at least a couple of decades. Not this guy though. You might not recognize Rip Thorn's name, but you've probably seen him in a few movies. And everyone knows that if you're an actor, you don't have to face the same consequences as the rest of us. If I ever get arrested for something dumb like this, I'm just gonna tell the cops that I was doing research for an upcoming role in a movie. I'll have to run this plan by my lawyer first, but I'm sure he'll be on board with it.
Those poor, cold little bunnies.
Your Honor!
Let him finish.
Okay, this one is crazy. This actress got pulled over and the cop found out she didn't have a license, and she had an open bottle of alcohol next to her. I don't know how everything went down, but Jaja ended up slapping the cop in the face and still only served 3 days. Go ahead and give this a try and tell us how it goes. Actually, don't do that. I hate having to go to funerals. This dude must have been like the Bob Ross of police officers. I think someone messed up and gave a Buddhist monk a cop uniform. A movie about a Buddhist monk becoming a cop is a good idea. Hit me up, Hollywood. Time to get rich. It must be hard to be a celebrity. I mean, if you commit a crime, everyone knows who you are, so it's almost impossible to get away with it. The bright side is that even when you plead guilty to something like disorderly conduct, you only have to go to jail for 1 day. I can't believe he made it out with his sanity intact. A whole 24 hours in jail is no joke. Just kidding, it's hilarious.
I have rights, I'm an American. You got me in my hotel, arrested me in my hotel for doing what, sir?
Shia even had the nerve to call it an extremely scary experience. Poor guy. I feel really bad for him. Hopefully he doesn't have too many nightmares while he's sleeping on the giant piles of cash. Yeah, life's way harder when you're rich and famous. We all know that Charlie Sheen is a maniac. This is the dude who says he has tiger blood in his veins, and is known for loving the smell of cocaine. He only had to spend a day in jail after being charged for several things, including assault. Honestly though, I don't think jail is the right place for him. I think we should find some uninhabited island to drop him off and set up a bunch of cameras to see how he reacts to living in the jungle. This could be the greatest reality TV show of all time. Just a dude with tiger blood living in his natural environment, eating raw animals and howling at the moon. I know tigers don't howl at the moon, but I'm pretty sure Charlie does it anyways. I think it's kind of hilarious and ironic that Michelle Rodriguez got a DUI. She's best known for starring in the Fast and the Furious movies, so you'd think she'd know the do's and don'ts of driving. After she violated her parole, she was sentenced to 60 days in jail, but due to overcrowding, she got out after half of a day. I'm sure she learned her lesson though. Nothing like doing hard time to straighten you out. 12 hours in jail is like an eternity for a famous person. Just think of all the rich people activities she missed out on that day. I bet the jail doesn't even serve caviar and lobster for lunch. Truly a horrifying experience for her. Her next movie is gonna be called Too Drunk to Drive. Well, it's not really a movie, it's more like a documentary. Famous people are always trying to one-up each other. If one of them buys a yacht, the other one buys a jet. If one of them serves 12 hours for a DUI, the other proves that they're better by only serving 3. And yeah, DUIs are a bad crime. But I think the biggest crime here is how dumb Khloe Kardashian's first name is spelled. Seriously, that's a crime to the English language. Actually, it's a crime to every language. I swear, I'll stop bringing this point up, but seriously, rich people, just pay someone to drive you. Otherwise, you're gonna end up in the slammer for the same length of time as a Lord of the Rings movie. Honestly, I think the Kardashians should just be locked up for making their show. I've seen war crimes that are less offensive than that steaming pile of garbage. Drugs, alcohol, and DUIs. Lindsay Lohan just wanted to party, but she really paid the consequences for her reckless actions when she had to serve less than 2 hours of jail time. I'd be locked up for 10 times that long if I spit my gum out on the sidewalk. Then again, I'm not one of the most famous people of the 2000s. If I were, I'd hire a gum butler to follow me around so I could just spit my gum out into his hand. It's actually probably a good thing that I'm not rich. That idea isn't even in the top 50 dumbest ones I have from when I win the lottery. Remember that bit about rich people being competitive? Well, Nicole Richie definitely wins this round against Lohan. She was able to shave a whole 2 minutes off the previous record. It kinda feels like these celebrities are just doing jail speedruns to see who gets the best time. Most of us have to use glitches and tricks to beat Mario really fast. And it turns out that in real life, there are useful tricks too, like being super rich and famous. It's basically like having a cheat code, honestly. It's like playing Grand Theft Auto, intentionally getting a 5-star wanted level, and then hitting a few buttons to make the cops forget about you. I used to think that kicking a cop would be a bad move. Well, it probably still is unless you're Jane Fonda. She decided to do her best Bruce Lee impression on a cop that had accused her of smuggling drugs in an airport and was released basically as soon as she walked into the jail. Turns out that she wasn't smuggling drugs, she was just carrying vitamins. Sure, Jane, that's what I would say too. Roundhouse kicking a cop definitely seems like something you would do on bath salts, not vitamin D. Driving around with enough painkillers, sleep meds, and weed in your system to kill a horse is a pretty big deal. Well, it's normally a big deal. Not so much if you're one of the most famous athletes of all time. Tiger Woods managed to avoid spending any time at all in jail after he was arrested for reckless driving. I can't imagine it has anything to do with the fact that he's one of the most recognizable people on Earth. This dude is the best role model of all time. He's taught so many kids that as long as you're famous, you can get away with basically anything. I still love the story about his ex-wife chasing him down with a golf club. Feels like the perfect kind of karma. You remember that viral "Leave Britney alone" video?
Leave Britney alone!
Well, that's exactly what the cops decided to do after she was charged with a hit and run. She also didn't have a license to drive, but obviously none of that matters if you're a mega pop star. Britney has been in the news quite a few times for making poor choices, but somehow she's never had to face any consequences for them. Okay, I've got a new life plan. I'm just gonna get famous enough that even if I get super high and drive a car straight into a bank and karate chop a bunch of cops, I won't have to go to jail. Seems easy enough,